Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Joanna Daniel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for those of us who've been here for a while, who've been liking and subscribing and sharing these videos so that other people could benefit too. I'm just going to always check my sound just to make sure that you can hear me because I have some good stuff to give you today, some good information that I know that you will benefit from and the people that are in your life will benefit from too. Thank you for those who send me messages about the videos, their relevancy, and how much you're benefiting. I really appreciate your feedback. If there's any particular topic, let me just check, see what's the okay, great stuff. Is there any if there's any particular topic that you'd like me to talk about, then let me know and I'll be happy to see if I can't address it personally, then I will ask somebody, a colleague of mine, to come and help me deal with the topic. So, for those who are new to the channel, I am a counselor. I live in Wales and I work with adult survivors of childhood trauma and abuse. We have a website, woundstoscars.com, and we provide conferences, retreats, and online courses. We provide a safe space for people to heal. So, saying that, today, well, I'm here every day at 1 p.m. because I know the lockdown is difficult. It's challenging. It was challenging in the beginning and it wouldn't be any easier now. And we're in winter and it's dark and it's cold and it's damp. Welcome. I can see that somebody has joined. Welcome. And I'm here every day at 1 p.m. just to provide some content for you, some information, some resources that you can use to help yourself and your family get through this difficult period. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. So today I'm talking about negative thoughts, and I think all week I'm going to be dealing with negative thoughts. Next week I'm going to do fears and overwhelm. So if you have a if you're having repetitive negative thoughts, I want you to use these tips to help you to manage them. Not only to manage them, because manage sound like they're going to be around forever. Managing sound like I'm never going to be rid of them, and that's not true. You can take control of negative thoughts because our brain is like a muscle, and there are pathways in the brain that you can change by practicing something different. So I'm going to share this tip with you because literally when you practice this tip, you're literally rewriting your brain. You're rewriting the story that's there, that's repeating over and over and over. So use this tip to do that. I wanted to read this because this was so important when I discovered this in my research, that there's a recent research that shows that we have over 6,000 thoughts per day. And when I saw that, I wondered, well, how many of them are negative? And some more research shows that some of those thoughts are the same ones that we had yesterday. And if you kind of sit back with yourself, you can think, yeah, I thought about that yesterday. Yep. And I thought about the day before and the day before that. So though we have 6,000 thoughts, it's not 6,000 new ones. It's the same thought that sometimes that we're repeating and recycling over and over again. And sometimes a huge percentage of those thoughts that we have per day are negative ones. And especially, for people who have anxiety or depression or, just in a state of anxiousness, the way we are as the world has changed, we have, if we have anxious thoughts, then there is going to be negative self-talk. There is going to be a tendency to worry and overthink. And to globalize and generalize and have lots of we call distorted way of thinking, where we filter all of life sometimes through those distortions. And what will come out is a negative experience, a negative life, almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, see, I knew that that would happen. See, that's why I said, this is going to happen. So if you find yourself trapped in a place where you're dealing continually with negative thoughts, I want you to try this because it really does work. And when I'm working with someone and I'm using these techniques, sometimes it might seem like it's so simple, but it's really effective. It does have an impact. Okay. So you pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to your thoughts, especially around a particular subject. Sometimes our thoughts will center around a particular subject. Like, for example, if you have thoughts around self-esteem and around yourself, around your capabilities and your abilities, like, for example, as a parent, the recurring negative thought might be, I'm not a good enough parent. Why did I do that? Why did I discipline that way? Should I have done it differently? How could I? Look what I've done. And on and on and on and on it might go. If you're a parent that has to be firm and you have to, demonstrate consequences for behavior, the repetitive negative thought around that might be something similar to that. Why couldn't I be like so and so who seem to be parenting better than I am? And then there's going to be the comparison, and the negative cycle will happen over and over again. One thing that I learned about the brain, and I find that this was amazing, is that the brain has a preference for negativity. So the brain at those times, those thoughts, because you're not practicing it, it will not remind you that you're a good parent, that you got it right yesterday, that an hour ago everybody was laughing and the atmosphere in the home was fine. It will not remind you of the amazing things that you do. It will not remind you that, remember when you did so and so and so. You have to train yourself to recall those memories, because it's naturally will not remind you of them. But remember, I said the brain's a muscle, and we can literally rewrite, we can create new pathways in the brain. So those 6,000 thoughts that we're having every day, some of them, a huge percentage of them can change from negative to positive. Now, I know that life is not neat. I wish it was. We're going to experience things that are going to trigger negative automatic thoughts. However, when you develop this habit of paying attention to the story, paying attention to the particular thing that creates a certain thought pattern for you, pay attention to that and think about, what's the story that I have around that thought. Remember, I use parenting rather as an example. For those of us who are parents, we might have a certain thought pattern around our abilities or inability or capabilities, how we see ourselves as parents. And so the negative thought around that might be so strong that sometimes it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy, because we naturally fall into and doing those things that we think that we will do, that we're thinking in our mind. Okay. Now that's one thing. If you're a university student, you might have thought patterns around your capabilities as a student, whether you do the work correctly or not. If you are an employer or an employee, you might have thoughts around how you function at work and how you show up in your schoolwork. You might have thoughts around, friendships and how people view you as a friend, or how you see yourself as a friend. You might have thoughts around your employability, whether or not you function and perform well at work. You might have thoughts around, and some of these thoughts comes through different things people say to us, but some of the thoughts come because of how we see ourselves already. There's sometimes underlying low self-esteem, low self-worth, lack of confidence, and those things will exacerbate our propensity, our ability to do low self-talk, to do negative self-talk. So it's a natural thing for us to do negative self-talk. So you might want to investigate your thoughts around a particular subject. And when you've discovered it, show yourself some grace. Show yourself some grace. You're human. Yesterday I needed to do something and it was a long, busy day and I forgot. And so this morning I woke up to another message, Joanna, can you please? And I said, you know what? I forgot. And I did it then because I did not remember. I just was tired and I went to bed. Usually I would stay up and work late, but yesterday was not one of those days. Offer yourself grace. Once upon a time, that would have been, the instant, and negative repetitive thoughts, they're instant. The instant thought might be, oh well, what are they thinking? Maybe they believe, what if only, and on it might go until it sink me into perhaps a dark place of what if, wondering what they're thinking, imagining, generalizing, mind reading, none of which would be correct. So notice your thought processes around particular events. Notice the things that you tell yourself. Challenge the story that you tell yourself. If you don't challenge the story about how you show up as a parent, how you are as a student, as an employer, of course there might be room for change and growth. There is room for change and growth always, because as long as we're alive, you're on this channel, so you take lifelong learning seriously because you are here learning. We're always going to be learning and understanding new things about ourselves and areas of growth that we're going to experience. However, if we use a stick to beat ourselves, then it limits our ability to learn from that event, because When we're using a stick to beat ourselves, we're not focusing on, well, what's the learning experience here? What can I learn from this thing? What we're focusing on is using the negative self-talk to beat ourselves with. And we're not learning from mistakes that we've made. We're not learning how we could do something differently. We're not learning what's the lesson that I can take away from this thing, because we're trapped in this place of negativity. So I want you to do that. Do this one thing, and it will really help if you challenge your thoughts, challenge the story around the event. It's in the story that you're going to find the negative self-talk, the subtle messages that you have. And every time that particular thing or anything relating to that thing happens, those repetitive thoughts will come to rescue you. It's almost like, oh, so you just shouted at the children. Here is what you must think about yourself. Oh, so your boss just walked past your desk. Here is what you must think about yourself. Oh, you didn't get 91, 99 in that test. Here is how you feel about yourself. And the brain will hand to you the well-worn path that it knows that you've traveled around this thing, because the story is so well rehearsed that as soon as the event happened, that story presents itself. Challenge the story. Tell yourself the truth about that story. How can you reframe the story and inject truth into the story? What are the other things that you could tell yourself about that particular thing? You could, if it was a mistake, yeah, I wish I'd done it differently this time, but next time I'm going to learn how to not do it that way. I wish I got more on this test, but I'm content with 66, 65. I've passed. Next time I know the areas that I need to work on. See, that's a different feeling from, oh, you always make mistakes. You're so dumb. Why couldn't you get more? So and so got more than you. And on those thoughts would go, as opposed to, you know what? This is not my favorite subject, but I think I've done well. Next time, I hope to improve on the areas that I didn't do it well in this time. I wish I hadn't shouted when I saw the children did what. I wish I'd manage myself and leave the room. Next time, I'm going to leave so that I'm not responding in the moment. Next time, I'm going to breathe, because when we deep breathe, we relax, we soothe the sympathetic system, get back to our thinking brain, where we are better able to make decisions, better able to think clearer. And as you do that and challenge the story that you tell yourself, you're literally creating new pathways in the brain. And gradually, over time, as you do it over and over and over time, your thought processes become more positive and positive and positive. It's guaranteed to work. It works all the time. I see the results of it every day. So I want to encourage you, if you're struggling with repetitive negative thoughts, I want to challenge you, encourage you rather, to try this and let me know how your experience of it. Thank you for joining me live. I can see that you're here with me. I really appreciate your presence here with me. Thank you for sharing the videos. We wanted to grow to 300 by the end of last week, and we go to 230, which was amazing. Thank you for sharing. Keep sharing the videos, keep liking and subscribing, and keep watching. We really appreciate you. That's why we're here. Take care until tomorrow at 1 p.m.